So I'm an Igbo girl, for those of you that probably don't know. My name is Amara, that's an Igbo name. So this is your friend Amara. This is your friend Amara. So one thing I remember very well about growing up is the fear. I was constantly afraid. I was afraid of authority. Authority for me meant that the person in charge of me could hurt me. Most of the fear was centered on my father. So my father, I grew up knowing my father as an angry man. This man can wake up and you do the slightest thing and he will just be very angry. His anger ranges from flogging you 6 to flogging you 72. Like, you can do the small things and he'll flog you like 6 strokes of the cane. And he had a metrics. He would either flog you 6 or he flog you 12 or he flog you 24 or 48 or 72. He never flogged in between. If he's flogging you anything in between, is uncountable. That's how we calculated it. Like, that means you've really fucked up, right? So I grew up knowing that every mistake has to be punished, should be punished, will be punished. And guess who was a child filled with mistakes and so many wrongdoings? Me. Yes. Somehow I always constantly got on my father's bad side. Amara, Amara. And I feel like with time, it became my own response to my father. Rebelling became my response. So I was rebelling and he was doing more. So we're just, my father and I growing up were arch enemies. So there's this particular girl that my father had warned me. I remember I was like 7 years old. But I remember this man warning me. He had even beaten me about this girl several times, and he had warned me that he never wants to see me with her, he never wants to see me in her house. But did Amara listen? No, I didn't. Like I said, I was rebelling a lot as a kid. That was my response to the kind of parenting I was getting. So one day I'm at Abigail's house, I'm playing, I'm carefree. Then I walk out of her house, out to the backyard. The backyard was facing a road. I come out the backyard and who do I see? My father. My father was passing, and just at that time when I was coming out, he was passing, and we both just met. And this man said, "Come, follow me." And I followed. I shouldn't have. I feel like one thing I knew about my father at that age was the best way to survive is run. But that day I didn't run. And I knew my mother wasn't home. And my mother used to be a buffer. She used to be the person that if he has flogged me to a certain extent, she'll come and just be the human block or human shield, so he wouldn't flog me past that extent, right? She had her own metrics in her own head for like, okay, this is okay to beat a child. So we get home, he took me to the door of our house, he brought a chain. It's those chains that, those of you that went to secondary school boarding house, those chains that you used to use and chain your chair and your locker together so people don't steal it. The longer version, like in schools they said the short ones are enough for your locker and your chairs. I don't know why my father had a long version. So he brings this chain, not too long actually, because I was small body. In my head then it was long, but now that I'm thinking about it, it wasn't actually that long. So he brings this chain, he rolls it around my waist, and he attached it to the door and padlocked it. And that was his bid to flog me in a way that I would not run away. I was a rebellious child. My father knew at that point so that if you flog me 1, 2, 4, all say to go, I'll run. So in his bid to make sure I don't run away, he chained me to a spot. And he said, you know, this child, you give me a lot of problems. And today I'm going to flog you until you die. So my father started flogging me and flogging me and flogging me. I remember that experience very well, even though it's been like 11 years later. It's been like 11 years later. But I remember that experience very well because at some point I pretended to have died. Like I pretended to have fainted. So I stayed still for a bit. I tried to like not move as the cane landed on me. I did that for like 4 seconds, but I couldn't. So I shouted, "I'm not dead, I'm not dead, Daddy, please stop." That was not the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. I've tried to peel layers and layers of that particular incident, but it's still a very traumatic incident. I don't share it that often. I don't even talk about it that often. It's just, most of you already know because someone had come out and mentioned this, and I promised you that one day talk about it when I'm ready. And yeah, a lot is currently happening in my life that is bringing back reminder of my childhood. I'm interacting with my parents again, and I'm doing that in a way that is safe mentally for both of us, because as much as these people have made a lot of mistakes, they are at a place in their life where they deserve rest, they deserve forgiveness, they deserve grace. I see how much they battled, I see how much they suffered, I see how much they had to bear within them. The trauma was too much. These are the people who were present for the war. My parents were babies when the war happened. Imagine the kids who were present for the Civil War. Millions died, millions starved to death. But imagine the trauma, the pain that was left in the heart and the spirits of those who survived, of the families who survived, of the parents who survived. I grew up having parents who, my father never hugged me. I don't remember one hug I had with my dad. I don't remember my father ever saying to me, "I love you." For years, that particular experience shaped me. It anchored my pain. It was the most painful thing I had on my traumatic days, on my painful days. It was the thing that my insides were singing for me. It was the picture that they were playing for me. It was what I could see. It was where I could picture myself on the days where I felt unsafe. It was one of the places I could picture myself in for years. For years. And I was mad. I was angry for years. I carried anger. I was angry with my father. I was angry with my mother for marrying my father. I was angry with everybody. I was angry with his family for not being close. I was angry with his friends for being kissers, because my father had a lot of kissers friends who couldn't really stand up to him. I was angry that nobody could hold my father accountable. I was angry at a lot of things. I was angry at myself for being powerless. I was angry. I grew up angry. I grew up very angry. Sometime 2 years ago, I read a book called Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure how her name is pronounced. Yaa Gyasi. And I read that book and it changed me. Everything in that book changed me. That book gave me a window to see the trauma that people before me had to go through, had to sit with, had to sit in, had to be in. That book gave me a window to imagine the kind of pain that my ancestors were in. That book gave me reasons to find healing, so I can extend grace to people before me, so I can extend forgiveness to everything. My father didn't have a lot of, as much as he had a lot of chances, he didn't have a lot of tools. He didn't have access to a lot of tools. That man was in pain for years. I don't know how. I don't know the beginning. I don't even know the end. All I know is the man was in pain for years. That man was carrying fire in his hand that burnt him and burnt everything he touched. But I can tell you for certain that fire burnt him first. My father is the reason why I'm so quick to look at myself to want to heal. My father is the reason why healing is my priority in life, healing myself. Because I never want to hold fire that will burn me and burn people around me, people I love, people I care about. It's why I'm so intentional with people. It's why I ran mad when I was called out. Because I've been intentional my whole life. I didn't understand it. But even with running mad, even with everything, I was still willing to look at myself because I had a father like my father. If there was even a 1% truth in what was being said about me, I was willing to look at it and heal. And honestly, I'll tell you for a fact, there were a lot of truth in the things that were being said about me. There were a lot of truth in the ways I couldn't channel softness when I'm angry, when I'm uncomfortable. I didn't know how to articulate myself in uncomfortable feelings. There was truth in that. There is. And I've been healing for the past 28 years. I'm still healing. I'm still healing. And my father is one of my big reasons in life to want to heal. Because I never ever want to hold fire that will burn me and burn the people I love. So yes, I'm the first daughter of an Igbo man. I'm the first daughter of an Igbo man who did not have access to healing or mental health aid. An Igbo man who had to exist, live, make a living in the north. Barely 20 years after the war. An Igbo man who felt displaced. An Igbo man who felt wounded. An Igbo man who was angry. I'm the first daughter of an Igbo woman whose priority was to give birth to those who we've lost. That's the priority of most of our mothers, our grandmothers. Their priority was to get married and give birth because the Igbos had lost so much lives. Subconsciously, I look around me, I've traveled, I've seen the difference between my trauma and the trauma of my Yoruba friend, my Igala friend, my Hausa friend. You see, Igbo trauma, it's so thick. It's so thick. It stands out. So I'm the first daughter of a woman who gave birth to 7 children, even when she was still learning how to be an adult herself. A woman who chose to heal a man, who decided her calling in life was to heal a man. So she gave and gave and gave, even when she was bleeding on her own. My parents made a lot of mistakes. I'm an adult now, I can hold them accountable. But I'm also an adult. The reason why they paid all those school fees and sent me was so I could assess more and I can understand more. I can also see and understand that those people gave me the best of everything they had. My father was wounded and he was bleeding all over. It wasn't me. I grew up all my life thinking I had done something. It was me. I needed to find what was wrong with me. I grew up overcompensating. I grew up being a people pleaser because I thought it was me. But I'm grown now to acknowledge and see that it wasn't me. This man was wounded and he was bleeding all over. So yes, that is the story of how my father changed me. That is the story of one of the most traumatic events of my life. And this is me today. This is me. I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm healing, I'm carrying myself in softness, I'm learning ways to be soft myself. Because people before me were in heavy places, they were in hard places. I owe it to my ancestors, I owe it to my father, I owe it to my mother to be the best version I can be, to be soft with myself, to assess softness. And when I've assessed it with myself, when I'm assessing it for myself, I owe it to the people before me to extend grace. To extend grace. They fought so hard, so the people after them will have a softer life. The least we can do is be graceful. The least we can do is find ways to heal so we can forgive. I forgive you. I forgive you. And I'm sorry. Even the afro is making me remember my father more and more. We look so alike. I really wish we were friends. I really wish we were friends. So yes, I'm sorry you weren't able to access that kind of healing that would have made you your daughter's friend. I'm sorry you weren't able to access that kind of softness that would have made you your daughter's friend. I ran from making this video for the longest time. But I'm making this video today to encourage every single person who experienced physical violence in the hands of their parents, especially us Nigerians, we Igbos. We Igbos who have parents who've never hugged. We Igbos who had to learn softness from the outside. We had to learn tenderness outside. I learned that I liked hugs outside. There's so much about myself that I learned outside. And you know the side effects of that? People taking advantage of you. People abusing you. People using you. People being unkind to you. People being unfair to you. Because that's the thing about pain. Somehow people can smell it on your forehead like blood. They can smell the blood. They know you're in pain. They know you know what pain is, so they give pain to you. So I want to encourage everybody that can relate to this story. Everybody that's gone through one physical violence or the other in the hands of a loved one, a parent, a trusted one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These people were holding fires that burnt them first, and then extended the heat to us. Yes, it wasn't fair. It's not even your responsibility to forgive. You do not have to. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to extend grace. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I just want you to know that you're not alone. I just want you to find this video. I want this video to find you because you deserve healing. You deserve to breathe in and breathe out and let air touch that wound. You deserve healing. So in some way, I hope this video is a breath of air for you. I love you and I'm rooting for you. And to everybody watching me, to everybody who has gone through one thing or the other and you're planning to be a parent, honestly heal. Heal so those things that have happened to you, your children yet unborn will not experience those things. I don't know what happened to my father, but those things touched me too. Heal.